Unfortunately, we need to have a conversation about the Chicago Bears starting quarterback, Justin Fields. Because, dude, I am really, really worried about Justin Fields. I feel bad for the guy. If you look around the NFL, Tua's got a new awesome offensive head coach, Mike McDaniels. He's throwing to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Joe Burrow has 3 stud receivers. Justin Herbert's got a loaded team around him. So does Trey Lance in San Francisco. If you look around the league, you will realize that Justin Fields is the least supported young quarterback in the entire NFL. Think about what the Jaguars did for Trevor Lawrence, for example. The Jaguars got help for their young second-year quarterback, Trevor Lawrence. They hired a new head coach, Doug Peterson. He's an offensive head coach. He calls plays. He played quarterback in the NFL. He can relate to the quarterback. They also traded for receivers, Christian Kirk and Zay Jones. They tried. Are those perfect receivers? No. But the Jaguars are clearly trying to support their young quarterback, Trevor Lawrence. I'm not even sure how to make an argument that the Bears are trying to support their young quarterback. I'm going to do my best, but it's not pretty. The offensive line in Chicago is bad. They've got a bad offensive line. Justin Fields is going to be running for his life this fall in Chicago. The most notable moves Chicago made this offseason were as follows. They traded away their star defender, Khalil Mack. I don't know how you argue that's a good thing for Chicago. They let their best receiver, Allen Robinson, leave and go to L.A. Oof, that hurts. They did trade for a receiver, N'Keal Harry, a former first-round pick in New England, but he's been a total bust in the NFL, and he's not even going to be starting for Chicago. It's weird to me. On top of that, by the way, the Bears hired Matt Eberflus to be their new head coach. And I actually like Matt Eberflus. Matt Eberflus, nothing against him. Pretty good hire. I actually like him as a coach. But I don't know that he's the right coach when you have a young quarterback like Justin Fields, right? In a lot of scenarios, I would support Matt Eberflus. Not this one. Because you've got a young quarterback, Justin Fields, who needs to be developed. And Matt Eberflus is a defensive head coach. They needed to hire someone to help Justin Fields, in my opinion. And I guess they did hire Luke Getsy as the offensive coordinator. Luke Getsy was the Packers quarterback coach with Aaron Rodgers. He's now the offensive coordinator in Chicago. And that's awesome. But what happens if Luke Getsy does well in Chicago? Then he's going to leave to go be a head coach. He's going to leave Justin Fields. And here's the theme this year in Chicago. The Bears have failed to provide the proper support for their young quarterback, Justin Fields. They got a defensive head coach. They lost Khalil Mack. They lost Allen Robinson. They hired an offensive coordinator who, if he does anything good, is going to leave. That's not exciting to me. You build this rapport, you help this young quarterback, and then you peace out, go do your own thing. And I just want to say it now that it's not Justin Fields' fault. That they got nothing around this guy. Remember this in November when, if maybe, but really when things go bad, I want you to remember, Bears fans, that Chicago didn't properly support Justin Fields. This is not his fault. I feel bad for the guy. His offensive line is a mess. There's not a lot of playmakers around him on offense. I don't know what to say. It's really disappointing. And in November, when the Bears are struggling and Justin Fields doesn't look that great, I just want you to remember, this is the Bears' fault. It's not Justin Fields' fault. It's on the Bears for not properly supporting their young quarterback. It's so disappointing, man. I don't know. When you've got a bad offensive line, a weak receiving core, a defensive head coach, one more time, when Chicago finishes last in the NFC North, I want you to remember, this is not Justin Fields' fault.